Now, I wouldn't make a big bet, but I do think Green Bay at 9.5 is undervaluing the Packers. Again, they won double digits last year, and I'll argue that Jordan Love was not healthy the entire year. He wasn't healthy early, and he didn't look like he was healthy late. And if you look at that schedule, once again, you got some Carolina at home and Cleveland, and there's some very, very favorable matchups. New York Giants, Carolina, they're just better than those teams. So I think 9.5, although the schedule is tough. They open with Detroit and Washington, but they're both at home. So those are tough openers, both at home. And their bye is a little early, but they do get a bye before they host Joe Burrow. So if Joe Burrow is the best quarterback you will face, and I believe he is because they don't play Kansas City and they don't play Buffalo, if Joe Burrow is the best quarterback, you get 2 weeks to prepare for him at home. So again, that's a little bit of a scheduling break. It's always easier. You come in rested, you come in healthy, you're off the bye. I mean, we know what Brady did when he got the bye in Tampa. 7-5 became don't lose another game.
Yeah, well, what Tom Brady did in Tampa is a little bit different than what you're going to be expecting the Green Bay Packers to do with Jordan Love. It's a little different. But, yeah. To me, I haven't had to air this take out a lot because I felt like we've been far enough from the season. And I just had this aha moment. Like, I'm recording this in the middle of the night. And I took my dog out for a walk, and I just had this feeling of we're getting here now. We have one more week of no football at all. And then the following week is majority of the conversation is just because we only have technically the Eagles game on that Thursday. And then that weekend, which is then technically the following week. But that whole week is now leading up to of us now majority of the content is now going to be who do you think is going to win, the Packers or the Lions? We'll actually be talking about the games, even though we haven't actually had the games played just yet. And I was thinking about for me, I really only ever really feel comfortable trying to figure out who these teams are after 7, 8, 9, 10 games. It's just too hard to know what are we looking at in the offseason. And I'm a firm believer in that. But of course, obviously, when you're having these conversations and you're trying to unpack all this, it's you kind of get forced to make conclusions sooner than you normally would. And for me, I was trying to think about it. It's what teams do I have the highest degree of confidence and the lowest degree of confidence? And I definitely, you guys all know, I'm a firm believer in Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love and just the Packers franchise as a whole. And I love I love their draft pick, especially their number 1 pick, obviously. And I am also, we're not Colin's I'll even say that Jordan Love was injured all season. It's well, yes, he was. That much is very obvious that he was never quite right the entire season. And even when he was on the field, it's just easy to be out of rhythm with the rest of the team when you miss from the jump, right? When you get injured after week 1 and then you miss a whole bunch of games and you come back and you're still not quite right. And then you're kind of healthy. Then you get injured again. It just never seemed to connect. And for me, it's you get farther removed from the greatness that we saw from the Green Bay Packers in 23. And I do leave it up to Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love to remind us. It's up to them, right? It's not up to us as fans consuming the product to just keep carrying that water for them. It's up to them to remind us why the Packers were so great, why they smoked the Dallas Cowboys, and you really felt going into that game, into the game against the 49ers, hey man, the NFC Championship is on the line. They can do it. And if they beat the 49ers, you're believing that they can beat the Lions as well. Football is so kind of crazy because it's sometimes it feels like you can get knocked out in, say, the wild card round or the divisional round, and it's just man, you were 2 plays away from getting to the Super Bowl or winning the Super Bowl, even though obviously you were games away. And that's very much to me how the Packers felt in 23. And so there was all this momentum. And then 24, that momentum got popped, and people use that now to be like, see, I told you the Packers weren't that good and Jordan Love's not that good. It was all fool's gold. And I don't think that's the case either. And this is what I've already been kind of talking about with Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles, where it's just like, if the Eagles don't repeat, people are already going to be like, see, I told you that the Eagles weren't that good and Jalen Hurts weren't that. And it's like, that's not how this works. That's not how this works. And sometimes there is legitimate fool's gold. Sometimes a player or a team or a quarterback, whatever it may be, they play bigger than what they actually are, or their record's a little bit misleading, like whatever it may be. And I'm always very specific when I want to hold who you beat versus who you lose against to you. If you're a young team, if you're a young quarterback, if you're a rookie quarterback, it's like, I don't really care that much. I don't care who you're beating. You're winning, right? If you're year 4, 5, 6, 7, you're Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar, yeah. If you're only beating bad teams, like, that matters to me, right? And you're struggling against the great teams, it's like, yeah, that means something to me. So to hold the success of the past of Jordan Love and this Packers team in a smaller light, because in the following year they weren't quite able to get it all together because of injuries, because of it just wasn't coming together, as an indicator as to why the Packers are at a lower standing within the NFL world. I think that's a huge mistake. And what's frustrating is that they're already starting off injured. Like, that is why I legitimately was triggered, because I was just like, I want to see this team healthy. And I'm not going to go on the whole same long rant here because I'm going to re-trigger myself, but I'm just like, I just want to see this team healthy. I want to see them well practiced. I want to see them just, again, I'm going to say it again and again, I want to see them play on time and in rhythm, on time and in rhythm, on time and in rhythm. Like, come on. Like, you were never able to do that. You did that like once last season against the Miami Dolphins, and it's still one of my favorite games I watched all season, especially on the back of terrible Thanksgiving football. And I was just like, thank you, Green Bay, for showing how it's done. And I was so excited because I was like, that's the moment. That is the bye for Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Tom Brady. I was like, all right, let's go. And then it just was never like that. And so it's like, all right, well, let's hit the ground running here. And you do have your work cut out for you. Jordan Love is not practicing in the way that Matt LaFleur wants him to practice. And now week 1 is against Detroit. But this is what I kind of said before. At least I think I did. I may have not. They got 2 new coordinators. You have the continuity of Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love. Prove why you're a great coach quarterback duo. Like, this is what I'm saying. It's up to the Packers to show us why they're great. Why we should continue to say, you're great. You're a top team in the NFL. It's up to them. And you do start off in week 1 and week 2 with that. You do. And it's like, show us why you can take advantage of the lack of continuity that the Detroit Lions have right now, and show me your continuity and why that's going to benefit you in a week 1 matchup. Because I saw the Detroit Lions in week 1 against Los Angeles Rams last year. They did not look good. Like, it took them weeks to find their footing, the Detroit Lions. And that was with continuity. And it's just like, and that was, that was when they had Glenn and Ben Johnson and whatnot. And it's like, show me why the Green Bay Packers can hit the ground running. Show me why they can get that win. I don't want to say steal, because that implies that, like, they're undeserving to beat a team like the Lions, but just take advantage. Take advantage of other teams trying to figure it out. When you play the Commanders, prove why dealing with Terry McLaurin contract issue and trying to insert Debo and seeing how this all fits, like, prove why that's a problem. And when you're going up, especially when you're going up against the Cowboys and the Cleveland Browns, it's like, prove why Schottenheimer's not a good coach and Dak is just, his better years are behind him. Like, prove that. And the Cleveland Browns, whether it's Flacco or Shador, I mean, like, who knows by week 3? I mean, who knows by week 3 who the world's going to be calling to start for quarterback there. But prove. If you got Flacco, you can't beat us. If you got Shedeur Sanders, you can't beat us. If you got Dylan Gabriel, you can't beat us. It's like there are wins there. There are clearly wins there. I always leave the door open for failure and lose. I'm not that hard nosed. Like the other day I made a video and John Middlecoff was like, if they're 3-1, we'll talk about how great this team is, and if they're 2-2, we'll talk about them kind of having problems. Like, that's not how I operate personally. I leave room for teams to struggle, but at the same time, when you're looking at some of these other teams and what their own struggles potentially are going to be, it's like I just look to a team like the Green Bay Packers and I say, prove to me why you have it all, why you made the right decisions this offseason, why you are going in the right direction. Prove that to me. And to be fair, it's like if I'm making a Detroit Lions video, it's like I can say, the counter take and be like, prove to me that your team is not as reliant on Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn as I think they are, right? Prove that to me. Jane Daniels, prove to me, and Cliff Kingsbury, prove to me that you can seamlessly bring in a Debo and that you can work magic with those pieces. Schottenheimer, prove to me that you have been deserving of a head coach job for years, right? But in terms of my degree of confidence of those, prove it to me. The Packers are, at the top. So, that's what I'm looking for. It's just like, I need to be reminded why Jordan Love was set up to take over the NFL in 24. I don't want to be reminded why that didn't quite happen. But even in such a messy year, with Jordan Love clearly not being right and them not really able to just get everyone on the same page, they did have a lot of success, relatively speaking. They really did. And even in a weird game that Jordan Love clearly did not play great against the Eagles in the playoffs, injuries or no injuries, he wasn't making the best decisions throughout that game or the best throws. It was still weirdly a winnable game. And that defense played great against Philadelphia Eagles. That defense arguably played the best against the Philadelphia Eagles all playoffs, maybe even all year, when it actually matters. I don't care about any of those weird wonky games like against the Carolina Panthers or something. It's like that those were just one of those weird off games. That game obviously mattered. It was the playoffs, and the Packers were on the road, and they were blanketing the receivers. I mean, the Eagles had to just be great. They had to be perfect, and they were. Credit to them. Again, credit to Jalen Hurts, high level decision making. But that defense was legit against a team that hung 55 points against the Commanders, and it could have been 40 or more against the Kansas City Chiefs. And the Eagles would have scored way more against the Los Angeles Rams, but of course it was a legitimate blizzard, so that obviously kind of got distorted a little bit. But it's like continue with that momentum. Continue that momentum and hit the reset button on the offensive momentum. And have that start on week 1. Take advantage of a new coordinator stepping into this team. Take advantage of that. That's what I'm talking about here. And take advantage of having that great defense and overwhelm the new offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions. Those are some of those things that I'm trying to emphasize here. It's like when you're talking about some of these teams and some of these games, the advantages are so small. And when you have them, if you're a great team, that's all you need is the little bit of an advantage. And that is enough to just rip it wide open. We see that again and again and again. That's why the Kansas City Chiefs have been able to be so great. It's not even so much that they're so much better than some of these other teams, but they have a little bit of a coaching advantage. They have a little bit of a defensive advantage. They have a little bit of a quarterback advantage. They have a little bit of this, and it's enough to just blow it open. So it's like, that's what I'm looking for the Packers. It's like, prove that. Prove that from the jump. So I'm actually more excited about a week 1 game like this against the Lions than if they kind of got maybe a little bit easier of a matchup like against the Browns or the Cowboys week 1. Because prove to me that the advantage that you have, that you could take advantage of it. That's what I want to see. You have the advantage. They had the advantage against the Lions. I think it was in their final game of the season that they played each other, and they did not take advantage of it. They had that advantage. That defense was decimated, and they did not take advantage of it. And it's like, I can't defend that. I find that problematic. I find that frustrating. And so it's like, in order to not see a retread of what we saw in 2004, show me why 2004, why 2024, 2004, that would be a heck of a time, man. 2024, show me why 2025 is going to be different than 2024. This is what I get for making videos in the middle of the night. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Green Bay Packers? Do you agree with Colin? Why they're undervalued right now? He's got them winning over 9.5, which I agree too, to be very, very clear. I couldn't see them winning under 9 games, and I would be, if they win under 9 games, they better have had a lot of injuries. They better have had a whole bunch of injuries. Because if they only do that, then you need, if they win less than 9 games, then there needs to be real answers. There needs to be consequences for that. I'll just say, leave it at that. But let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.